is real. And if you aren't advertising,
It's okay. I'm back from spring break, and my first stop is the music building. This year, my relationship with music has been good. Last year, I put a lot of pressure on myself, worrying about my progress and that if I made mistakes, I would be seen. I started to lose the fun I had. But this year, I've calmed down and viewed it as a learning experience, with challenges, remembering at the end of the day, it's just for fun. Dune Part 2 defined my spring break, so I made it my presentation for my club. Compromise of humanity, religious manipulation, and making choices thinking we have control when actually systems of power influence and put us on our paths. That's why Paul had no choice in the end. Hours before, I paced outside the library rehearsing my speech in whispers, getting the rhythm and flow. I struggled projecting my voice, and I couldn't predict what would happen when it would be my turn. But something switched on, a jolt of adrenaline. I was able to speak my loudest and clearest. Now I know I have that switch. I designed this semester to be big, but there was an unforeseen flaw in the plan. First, I stacked 4 major classes, because I wanted to do more and not limit myself. At first I balanced it, but then everything increased at the same time. Material, back-to-back exams. I was stretched out so thin that it became hot potato keeping up with the material. I did not go deep and actually problem solve. It became evident during my final exams. One of my classes had the most stressful exams I'd ever taken here, partly because we did not do rigorous problem solving. So doing the tests was like doing everything for the first time. The time pressure was already so intense that there was no space to think and be stuck. I would need time to understand and the ability to ask questions. This frustration made me program myself to a negative and unproductive headspace. On the last test, I ran through and did everything I could, but for the difficult questions, I would start but then get stuck. Confusion and frustration flooded my brain, and I couldn't shake them off. I couldn't address my confusion head-on, understand what I needed to do, or pivot and try a different direction. I left that class knowing I didn't understand the concepts to the point I could problem solve. I had a second test that day where there was also a challenging question, and I did better analyzing it, but there was still this stuckness. I didn't end up solving the problem, but after I figured out how it worked. I get stuck very often, especially with writing or code. I have to step away to reset, but I want to become better at adapting in the moment. I always want to be prepared for every possible scenario, but there's simply not enough time, and I realize things come down to the moment more and more. Despite this short back, I made some big steps forward. All semester long, I worked to become a member of a speech and debate club, and I succeeded. I did a serious debate, which I didn't think I could do because I always need to speak from a script, but not only was I able to respond and think on the fly, but I felt excitement at trying something new, something I haven't felt in a long time. Second, I had a big step in my music journey. I performed a solo with an audience. I didn't play solos in front of people in high school, but in college, yes, and it's been a challenge. Because I'm already conscious of how others perceive me, but that extends to being looked at when playing music. It just makes me anxious, so the only thing that helps is exposure, and remembering that no one really pays attention to you at the end of the day. In the first half of the performance, I was a bit shaky, but in the second half, after successfully doing a high point in the piece, I finally let go and played my actual best. I began to enjoy it, and after I wanted to do it again. That feeling of submerging yourself in fear, but making it through to the other side. There's one last thing that's been on my mind: philosophy and religion. I took a class called Asian Religions, a survey on Hinduism, Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism. I remember Hinduism inspired me with its belief about the self, but Buddhism's left me questioning reality as a whole. Projection. Everything we experience is actually a projection by our own mind, an illusion. Reality is emptiness. Deep within our mind is true consciousness. We project onto people, idealize them, who we think they are with who we want them to be, but we can drift away from the people closest to us. One day we realize someone is not the exact person we were drawn to, and it's not their fault, because we project, attach meaning and expectation to something that's not there, not the full picture. So do we accept the truth if it's painful and bleak? Do we even want the truth? Do we choose to stay ignorant, knowing it's a lie, but being somewhat at bliss? I don't think it's fully possible to accept the truth of life and existence if it's just empty but infinite. Humans need ideas, structure, attachment, and illusions to stay sane. But illusion doesn't necessarily mean false, it's just not the true picture. But there can still be some truth in it, and thus value. We create these ideas, attach to other people, form groups and beliefs to cope with this uncertainty and make something out of nothing. But if we attach too much, we set up disappointment. So it might be better to let go.